Greetings, this is Paul the Poke from PaulthePoke.com. We are Yom Teruah, Rosh Hashanah, Feast of Trumpets, Middle East on fire, and this goes into effect, or calculated, depending your calendar system, sundown tonight, October 1st. Hebrew Civil Year 5785. Essene year 5949, Gregorian year 2024 here in the West. Scripture reference, Leviticus 23, verses 23 through 25. Again, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the sons of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, on the 1st of the month, you shall have a rest, a reminder, by blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. You shall not do any laborious work, but you shall present an offering by fire to the Lord. Okay, we got some fire. Here's also restated in Numbers 29, verse 1. Now in the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, you shall also have a holy convocation. You shall do no laborious work. It will be to you a day for blowing trumpets. Yeah. So the holiday has many names. It's called the Feast of Trumpets by Christians. It is recognized as the Jewish New Year. That's the Jewish Civil New Year, Rosh Hashanah. And in Judaism, it is called Yom Teruah, which means the day of blowing. And the directions for the holiday are pretty straightforward. It's to be a day of rest or a Sabbath. It's a holy or separate day. It's a convocation. Hebrew word for convocation is mikra. And it means a rehearsal, convocation, a reading, a calling together, or a sacred assembly. And 3, it is a memorial and a reminder to blow or shout. The Hebrew word is teruah, and we're going to focus on this aspect of the holiday. Teruah, an alarm, a signal, a sound of tempest, a shout for joy, blast of war, alarm, joy, war cry, or battle cry. We are in the Hebrew civil year, start of the new civil year, 5785, or the Essene year, 5949. And I need to update this. Israel is at war on 3 fronts. Is war about to break out on a 4th front? Well, I suppose that's still probably accurate. We could possibly even throw in a 5th front as well. Lots going on in and around Israel. And all of the military activity Israel is engaged with are supported by Iran or Iranian proxies. And so we're going to talk about this briefly. Daniel 10, verses 13 through 14. However, the prince of the kingdom of Persia opposed me for 21 days. Then Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left there with the kings of Persia. Emphasis on Persia. Now I have come to explain to you what will happen to your people in the latter days, for the vision concerns those days. Now, that little demon of Persia, the principality that Michael is scraping with, I suspect that's going on again in heaven. And the closer we get to this winding down into a 7-year tribulation, that prince of Persia is going to become more and more active and will be more and more bent to destroy the people of Israel. And I think we're seeing that now. Things are escalating with Persia or modern day Iran, and so the idea would kind of be like the Lord's Prayer, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." And we know that Michael will kick Satan and his minions out of heaven at some point down to earth. Well, they're still warring. I suspect they are warring at this point between Michael and this prince of Persia in heaven at this point. I mean, plenty going on here on earth between Israel and Persia. So this is a post that was put up by Jared Kushner, and I bring him up only because I get a lot of feedback. He is a person of interest. I know some of you folks think he is the Antichrist. I'm not ready to go there. But he was instrumental in the Abraham Accords. He's good buddies with Saudi Arabia's Mohammed bin Salman. He is Donald Trump's son-in-law. And I suspect if Trump gets elected, he will become front and center again. And we're going to hear about him. I don't know what role he'll have in the administration, but he'll be involved in visiting, negotiating a middleman to the Middle East on behalf of the United States with what would be a President Trump if elected. And he wrote a pretty extensive document on Hezbollah on X. I'm not going to go through all of this. You can read it here. It talks about September 27th being an important day in regards to the Abraham Accords breakthroughs. And this guy studied Hezbollah, and nobody thought what Israel has done to Hezbollah and its leadership would be possible. And in his opinion, Iran is now fully exposed. And Iran's nuclear facilities are probably between the crosshairs, especially today after what took place earlier today, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. They don't have that good of air defenses. And they've been using Hezbollah to essentially point a, quote, loaded gun at Israel. So 40 years they've been building. Trump, he did quote Trump, Iran has never won a war, but never lost a negotiation. The Islamic Republic's regime is much tougher when risking Hamas, Hezbollah, Syrian, and Houthi lives than when risking their own, which the Ayatollah is in hiding right now, by the way. They have tried to assassinate Trump. They've hacked his campaign election website, as well as Kamala Harris. That's been hacked into as well, and that was finger was pointed at Iran. And the main thing is they've got to feel threatened, because if they're taken out, it's a new day for the Middle East, and that's what a lot of this is about. Iranian proxies and threats dissipate. Regional security and prosperity will rise for Christians, Muslims, and Jews alike. Israel has mostly neutralized Hamas in Gaza, and it looks like they are attempting to do that in the north with Hezbollah, and they are warning Iran directly as well. So if you guys want to get into this and read this, turn it over to you to let you read it. I'm not going to spend the rest of this time reading it or talking about it. Yes, Hezbollah is a terrorist organization. Yes, they've done a lot of things to a lot of people. If you want to read it, you can read it all here at the website, PaulthePoke.com. You can also click on this link at Twitter or X, Jared Kushner, and there's a link to the statement that's been made right here as well that you see in its entirety. And with that, we're going to transfer to what's going on in Gaza. Just a reminder of the prophetic significance of what we're seeing taking place in our world today, October 2024, on our Western calendar. Ezekiel 7, verse 11, violence. The Hebrew word for violence is Hamas, has grown up into a rod of wickedness. None of them shall remain, nor their abundance, nor their wealth, neither shall there be preeminence among them. So are we watching that being fulfilled? I don't know. Something to think about. And this is from the IDF. As we continue to fight in a multi-front war, we are operating in Gaza in order to bring our hostages home and dismantle Hamas. IDF troops discovered, mapped, and dismantled an underground tunnel route. It's approximately 1 kilometer long, embedded near residential buildings and civilian spaces in central Gaza. We've got somebody going through this tunnel. Inside the tunnel, several rooms and equipment used by Hamas terrorists for prolonged stays were discovered. It's a ridiculous network of tunnels, and they've got some footage of it. They're finding out the same things going on up north on the Lebanese border Hezbollah has dug a bunch of tunnels as well. So, and from there, we're going to go to Hezbollah in Lebanon. For those of you who have been following, you're aware of Obadiah 1, verse 20, and the exiles of this host of the Israelites will possess the land of the Canaanites as far as Zarephath. The ancient town of Zarephath is effectively the Litani River, which, according to the UN, there should be a buffer zone from the Israeli-Lebanese border to the Litani River. Now, I seriously doubt the UN consulted Obadiah when they crafted that document. And that's one of the pushbacks that Israel's giving right now is like, hey, you drafted this back in '06. Let's make it happen. You know, if you're any kind of international governing body, enforce what you wrote. And this is from the IDF. And the military chain of command of Hezbollah is effectively gone, either by bunker busters. Holy cow. Nasrallah and some of his buddies were down in the hole, 40 meters, I think, where they were discovered. And they essentially suffocated or gassed from all the gases from, 80 bunker busters, 1 ton ordnance. 80 of them exploded, and that's what took him out as well as some of his top commanders. But they have no structure anymore. It's gone. The military chain of command of Hezbollah is gone. Israel has taken them out within less than a week. And with that, Israel has begun its movement of ground troops into southern Lebanon. And that took place last night, September 30th. This is from Vicegrad. They've got some pictures of it. It's all over the internet. Plenty there. Now, with that move, Russia says Israel must immediately withdraw troops from Lebanon. Putin has spoken up as of today. He spoke up and made that proclamation before further events have unfolded today. And falling right in line with Ezekiel 38 and 39, Russia will lead a coalition, including Turkey, Libya, Iran, countries around the Horn of Africa, Sudan, Eritrea, Ethiopia possibly, are all going to invade Israel at some point, led by Gog of Magog. I don't know if Putin's Gog, but a leader from Russia is going to do it. We have the Houthis in Yemen. Massive airstrike by Israel on key installations in Yemen. This is retaliation against the missile launch by the Houthis on Tel Aviv, which was intercepted by an Israeli system. That was yesterday, or 2 days ago now. Israeli Air Force is on the attack in 4 arenas at the same time within a few hours: Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, and the Gaza Strip. I think we're probably going to add Iran to that. You can see some of the video of this. People had different footage, video from what took place with the big airstrike on Yemen, southwest corner of the Arabian Peninsula. Massive destruction taking place in Yemen. And here's some more. This is all going on roughly. This is the last, 2-3 days? It's crazy. But it's happening. As you can see, we got multiple prophetic pieces in play, potentially. Assad in Syria. Syrians taken to the streets to celebrate what they believe was a fatal Israeli airstrike today against Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad's brother, General Maher al-Assad. That was 2 days ago, September 29th. And then we get to today. I'm going to get fact-checked here by X. think Elon needs to do some more house cleaning on some of these folks. Iran officially declares state of war against Israel. Now, the fact checkers tell us political leaders have equated Iran's attack to a declaration of war. However, neither party, Israel or Iran, has issued a formal declaration of war at the time of this tweet was written. Well, maybe. But this is, as a 154, no timestamp, of course not. This is from Iran's Ministry of Information. The country has entered a state of war. Well, who else would it be with? And any content in favor of the enemy and weakening the country, the government, and the army is considered treason, and the managers of the channels and groups are warned to publish this content. Okay. At which point, by the way, yours truly here is in trouble. I violated community standards with my last post, so who knows what's going to happen now. And the infraction is that I essentially stated that God protects Israel. They didn't like that part of it. It doesn't meet their community standards. Okay. This is from Middle East Eye. This is an Arab publication. Narration from some of the folks on this one. But Iran launched about, 181 missiles towards Israel today. Israel sought safety in bomb shelters and warning. I mean, the whole country just got blanketed. And these were ballistic missiles. Now, I know it shows some things exploding, but that's roughly out there in the middle of the desert. Early reports of nobody injured. No Israelis injured. Let me rephrase that. No Israelis injured. No death. No Israeli deaths. However, some of this stuff was intercepted by anti-missile batteries that Israel possesses, and somebody in Jericho or in Syria died. It was a Palestinian who died. But that looks bad, but just blowing holes in the desert. At this point, no Israeli injuries or deaths. Haven't heard about any other things, but the people that would side with them are the ones who were casualties. One, maybe two Arab deaths. Israel said they will respond throughout the night. Which, that's just kind of where we are. Matthew 24, verses 6 through 8. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Now, this is Jesus talking. We're not supposed to be alarmed by this. Now, that's easier said than done, especially if you would be living in Israel, hanging out in your bunker, while you've got hundreds of missiles being fired at you. But Jesus said these things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and we're seeing that more and more every day. The United States is sending more things over to the Middle East, to the Mediterranean Sea. Kingdom against kingdom. Russia is speaking out. China's speaking out. The BRICS countries are getting together later this month, about 3 weeks away now. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Which takes us to what's taking place in the United States. Hurricane Helene has brought devastation throughout the South and the Appalachian Mountains. Luke 21, verse 25, part B. And on earth, distress among nations, and perplexity at the roaring of the sea and the waves. Hurricanes, typhoons. This is Helene before it made landfall. This is south of the Florida Panhandle. You can see this thing extends the plume of clouds all the way up to the Great Lakes, from the Gulf of Mexico to the Great Lakes, and then all the rain that took place, especially in this area, North Carolina, East Tennessee, and northern Georgia. Crazy. This is from the North Carolina Department of Transportation, I-40 washout near the Tennessee state line. Do not travel in or to western North Carolina. I mean, Asheville is completely shut off to society at this point. Just look at the water on this. I mean, this is a short little video, but that's just a crazy amount, and that's washed out. Well, you can see it's washed out this lane here of I-40. And it got more than just this. I mean, this is up and down. If you get on Google Maps, zoom in on some of these areas, multiple roads taken out. Multiple roads taken out. It's amazing. Western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee destroyed by Helene. People still stranded, no power, no phone communication. Elon Musk is helping some of that with Starlink. They're moving satellite technology for communication to these parts of the United States. People are running out of food, water, medicine. People missing. It's like some of the waters have subsided. They found dead people in trees and cars. The death toll on this and the damage is going to be unbelievable. This little, this is incredible. Watch this slide of debris. And if you listen to these people, I mean, obviously they're scared. It just washes away everything they had. You don't have a chance against something like that. I think this is Nashville. A house is being swept down the river, or being swept down something. I don't know if it's a river or just flooding. It's probably a river close by. Roads washed out, flooding up to the roofs of these houses. Again, lanes of highways, roads taken out. Lots of these small towns down in the valleys of the Appalachians have they're gone. Which I used to live in this part of the country, so a lot of these roads that I traveled on, they've been washed out. It's really sad to see. It's a beautiful part of the country, but it's taken on some significant damage, and these people, they need our help. They need our help. And the good thing to see is the private sector is doing stuff now. Our president, the federal response has been delayed. Not to get political with it, just stating some facts here. So, unbelievable. Untold death with all this. So, at any rate, welcome to the fall feasts. It happens every year. I mean, it's becoming clockwork. Please feel free to share this with others at PaulthePoke.com. I'm sure we'll be putting some other stuff up. Lots of things taking place, going on. If you're not subscribed, please type in your email address here. Hit subscribe. You'll be notified every time we put something up. Got about 1,100 followers here on the website. A few hundred, just kind of everybody's scattered out. I think it's close to like 5,000-6,000 people now subscribing. So appreciate all you guys that subscribe, follow, comment, share. Please keep it up. Time's running short. He is coming back. I think it's pretty easy to see and say that we are seeing the conditions that were described by Jesus and the prophets prior to his second coming. So, things are winding down. Turn to Christ. It's much better to turn to the Lamb of God and to the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Same person. I'd take the peaceful one. You guys have a good evening. Talk to you later. Bye.